Good afternoon and welcome to this special call meeting of the Meriwether County Board of Commissioners and all of our cities. We're so glad that you're here today. We're going to adopt well, first of all, is ask if you do have any cell phones or any electronic devices, if you just turn it off till we get through so we can keep moving with the meeting. And our first order of business will be to adopt the agenda. Are there any corrections or any changes or anything that needs to be made? Hearing none, can we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor? All right, we only have one item on the agenda, but before we start that, I have one recognition I want to make today, and today is Mayor Glover's birthday. I want to tell her happy birthday. Glad you would spend your birthday here with us today. Wasn't really a choice, I don't guess, was it? Okay, and Mayor Moody, welcome. We see that you're online. Glad you're here. Can she hear us?
Hello, how are you all?
Okay. All right, so our county administrator, Ms. Irizarry, is going to be unable to be with us this evening, and Mr. Gay is going to be helping us to continue these renegotiations. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Commissioners, city officials, elected officials, everybody.
Pull that microphone a little closer.
Okay, a little closer to me. Yes. There we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, in our last meeting, we talked about a lot of things. We threw a lot of things out. What we didn't have at that meeting was really numbers and background. So I put a lot of time and effort into creating some numbers to chart how the revenues would flow based on history. But, and Allison's going to pass out that to everybody. But yesterday we had an opportunity to again sit down with some of the parties. And today, while I'll be happy to go through all of this and explain everything if you'd like, we really have a new, I guess, a proposal to put out on the table and I think that's the best way that we look at this, and that'll simplify things hopefully going forward. We were originally looking from the county's perspective. We took the populations and we took the 15%, and we had given you guys a sheet last time, and you got one in this book that'll show the 15% of you plus your population for 2012. Now, of course, we all dispute the census numbers. I don't think they were right, and I know some others strongly believe they were not right. But there are what we have to live with, so we can't come up with another number that we can define and look at that. But the county's original offer was to take population plus 1.15%. They had 15% to the population, and allow that to be the city's percentage. Now, of course, that would be taking dollars from the county because we would have been a little bit over 65. But we also understand that we're all neighbors. We work together. We try to help each other. And we have developed, I think, over the years, a pretty good relationship. And understanding that things are a give and take, we went back yesterday and took a look at some other issues. Now, I think there was a request to leave it as it was, which was 60.04 for the county, and the balance of it was divided by the city. Well, our original proposal was 61.49%, and then the rest of it divided to the cities. But after yesterday's meeting, I have calculated some new numbers, and this is the first time that the Board of Commissioners have really seen these numbers too, is today. And I know the city hasn't seen them. But this is what we're looking at now, and this is a little bit of give and take on behalf of everybody, okay? Because we did drop per the census in population, and we have to live with what we have to live with. What we are looking to do is there was a 1.45% difference for an additional percentage of the revenue that the county was going to get based upon population, okay? After we'd given the 15%. But in discussions yesterday, we have come back with a proposal that we do this. We were at 60.04, And so we worked around trying to take that additional 1.45 or 1.46, as it turned out, percent that the county was going to be getting over the previous lost. And we took that and we divided it up amongst the cities based upon your percentage of city population, okay? And I've got the calculations over in the office if anybody wants to bore themselves with looking at those. But here's where we are in reality. All of you have the 1.15% numbers that we shared last time. Now what we're looking to do is change those numbers where Gay would go to 0.62. And Gay in the past was getting, let's see.
Go to 6.4.
0.64.
0.64, yes, I'm sorry. It was 0.62, it's going to 0.64, okay? And Gay in the past was getting certainly less than that. We looked at Greenville, we were proposing 4.43, now we're proposing 4.61. Lone Oak, 0.64, now 0.66. Luthersville was 4.34, it is now 4.52. Manchester was 19.99, it is now 20.75. Pine Mountain was 0.48, it goes to 0.49. Warm Springs was 2.95 under our original proposal, now it goes to 3.05. And Woodbury would go from 5.06 to 5.25. What those numbers indicate, indicate that is, we have taken the extra 1.46, 1.45%, and we have given that to the cities, away from the counties, puts us back right where we were. And with that, we took that number and we divided it up based upon the population. So the population of the cities, and I've got it on my other chart, was like 8,000 something people. But anyway, these are the new numbers, and it adds up with the municipalities having 39.97%, the county 60.03%, and I know that Manchester gave up some dollars over what they were getting last time around. The county did as well. We gave a little bit more. Some of the cities gave more. Some of the cities ended up with a slight increase in population, and they got a little bit more. But that's fine. I mean, it's not that much difference in what it was, because we overall, according to the census at least, lost population. Now, one of the other things that we think would be important with this is, I think everybody feels like, hey, we're going to grow. Yeah, we got big plans, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And that may be a reality. I think the county is going to grow too. But somebody's going to grow faster than somebody else. And I kind of believe that may be unincorporated Meriwether County. It may be Manchester, maybe Gay, I don't know. But one of the provisions we talked about was coming back together at a 5-year period. And at that 5-year period, we come back and we look at this again. And if there's drastic change in the community in terms of population shifts or some other extraordinary thing has happened, then we might want to go back in and change those and renegotiate those numbers again. I won't be here to participate with you guys on that, but we'll try to have it where it will be fair, fair process. And we would like to include that in the provisions that we put together and under the documents we put together to adopt this. We had, Allison, you told me we met on June 21st, okay. We've got about 3 or 4 more weeks to get all of this taken care of. We have some draft resolutions. Those require us to put the final numbers in there, and I didn't want to prepare them today without having the final numbers. So I wanted to propose these numbers today. Everybody talk about it, everybody look at it. Nobody's getting exactly what they want, okay? I wish we had gazillions of dollars to give everybody, but it is what it is. And I will say that the only positive thing is we've grown drastically over the last 4 years in our collection amounts in Meriwether County, and I'm very proud of that. I know the economy's up in the air, but I hope we continue to see that trend. If we do, I think everybody's going to be, despite giving up a little bit, everybody's going to be better. We hope it works out fine. I will say, just to make everybody feel comfortable, that even the numbers we proposed at 15%, virtually every city would have received more revenue than you received for the year 2021, because we had a spike in 2022. And again, I hope that continues. I don't know if it's going to spike as much as it did, but I hope we have a positive trend. I feel like we do. There's a lot of good things going on here. And so what I'd like to put out on the table is to see if everybody feels they can live with this. Appreciate Manchester meeting, giving up, they're dropping 1.25, I think, %. We appreciate that. We hope they can make that up with revenue increases. And like I said, it was a give and take with everybody. Nobody got exactly what they wanted, but I don't think we're far off. So I wanted to just put that out on the table, and I'll answer any questions the board has, answer any questions the city has, and we'll see if we can't move forward with this thing. The next step, if we can't work it out before the deadline, is going to be mediation. And in reality, mediation is, it's not binding. We would just spend money on a mediator, and if we still couldn't get to the agreement, then what we would do at the end of the year is we'd all lose the lost. And what that means is that citizens of the county would be the ones, and the citizens of the city would be the ones that ultimately lose. And we don't want that. We want to have this continued. We've enjoyed a good working relationship with the cities. I know later on, either later this year or early next year, we're probably going to need to talk about service delivery strategy and some other things that are there. But this is our latest numbers that I worked on, and I just wanted to throw those out and get some feedback and see if everybody feels they can live with that.
All right, are there any of the cities that would like to comment or ask questions? What about any of the commissioners?
Okay. We are too. Yes, I understand. That's what I said. Everybody gave up. You guys gave up more than most.
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Mr. Gay, you mentioned coming back in 5 years and once again do a renegotiation. Is that something that we can do legally as far as under the guidelines of the Department of Revenue?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure it is, but I will have that verified by our attorneys before we put it into any documents on this. But I'm certain we'll come back and renegotiate it.
Yeah, I would wonder, since this is done every 10 years, how the Department of Revenue can do that and hasn't been done before, and what would that actually entail? Just because go ahead.
I think it has been done before.
Okay.
And we'll verify that. It's, usually what you do is you do it every 10 years because you have new census numbers and all to count with. But let's just say that, I'll just say Yay. What if Yay grows by 10,000 people between now and 5 years from now? They're going to want to certainly come back to the table and say, wait a minute, we're not having to get fair share to our citizens. That may not happen, but I do think you can do that. But I'll make sure that it's legal, that it's fine with.
Yeah, a negotiation is a negotiation, and that's what we're doing now, so there should be no difference.
The last booklet that I sent to every mayor states that at any time, one individual city, county, or whatever, can ask for reconsideration.
I thought that was in
I
our stuff we got from ACCG, but
Well,
I
I
wasn't sure.
just wanted to verify. My question is, how do you verify? If your census tract is done every 10 years, how do you go back and verify that there was an increase? Because the only thing that's valid that we have to go on is the census tract. So how do you go back and use those numbers? I mean, just because a city comes to you and say, I've had an increase, what are the documentations you need?
Well, that's, and you're right, it is every 10 years. But you'll also see, if you go look today, there's a projected 2022 population.
Okay.
And it is done by the state and the RDCs and others. And that's what I would propose we use. Let's use that. If the cities say, I've grown 10,000 folks, show us how you've grown. Show us those buildings. Verify what you're talking. Not just some out of the air number, but it would be a number we would use verified by some other agency. Now, it's going to be an estimate because they're not going to go door to door again. But I think that if we all understand that, we should be able to live with that estimate, and then we'll have 5 other years to the census.
Well, I'm sure it'll be a better estimate than the census did
Right.
on their job around here.
You also have building permits.
That's right.
I mean, that's where the majority of your numbers are gonna come from new homes or apartment complex or whatever it is. So that would also be something that could be used as a factor.
And, tax digest changes. You
Yeah.
could use, there's a lot of factors you And it may very well be that we get to 5 years and everybody feels like we're
It may be the same.
all right, and just leave it and agree with it, go on.
But at least the option's on the table and in the agreement.
It was just mentioned to me by those online, they can't hear with the mayor speak, so if you say anything, would you mind just coming to the mic there, just say, just so the ones online can hear what's being said? They said they heard Miss Nash when she commented, but they didn't hear the other. And I think your Manchester's response was, "We're good," I think. Is that what you said? Okay, all right. All right, any other questions by any of the commissioners? Any of the city, the mayors or representatives of the city, anything you want to say, or what's your thoughts about renegotiation?
I do have a question,
Okay,
and the question is, when do we get back together again to talk about this? Because at least I personally would like the opportunity to review some of these things.
Yeah, I mean,
Much of the information that you provided is right off their website, so that's available already. But for example, if we look at the bullet attachment 5 on page 2, it says, as you can see from the chart, this methodology substantially changes the distribution formula and would increase the county's percentage from 61.49% to 75.09. I need to understand that.
I'll be happy to explain that. What I did was
that
this.
comes from what what is recommended, that the county's
ACCG.
population is the entire population.
And
It's
that
not
is,
just unincorporated.
No, and that is off the table if we agree with this.
Yeah, that'd be
That was
gone.
if we go to mediation. If we went to mediation, then what we were going to recommend was to follow the ACCG guidelines, which was to count the county population as countywide population. Since
not
we're
just
giving
unincorporated.
everybody a rollback, we would count both the city and the county population to come up with our population. And then if you calculated it that way, then that's where you end up with the county at 75%. So that's if we go to mediation, that's our position with what we'll defend from there, and we'll let the chips fall where they do. We're taking that off the table today and saying,
Really, the only thing that would matter here would be this paper now. If everybody agrees to this, is that not right? This would be the only thing that really matters.
that would be the final, and we'll have
The rest of it just be
documentation. too.
information.
I'll be happy to tell everybody where they would be with this and where they were, if that would be helpful.
That's fine.
Gay, you were at 0.4746. And with this, you're at 0.64. You had some growth. Greenville, you were at 4.6714. You'll be at 4.61. So almost on top of where you were. Lone Oak, again, 0.49 to 0.66. Luthersville, you were at 4.6607. You would come in at 4.52. Manchester was at almost 22. They'd come in at 20.75. I won't even mention Pine Mountain. Warm Springs was at 2.22 and 2264, and they will go to 3.05 because they did show a growth per the census numbers. And then Woodbury would be from 5.12 to 5.25. So the county and Manchester are the ones that would take the biggest hits on this. But as Mayor Brendan said earlier, we want to all be partners and work together. And I appreciate them, working with us on trying to get this resolved too.
So Warm Springs and Woodbury go up, and what was the other one you said? Which other one?
Oak went up,
Lone Oak went
Lone Oak went
up.
up.
Woodbury went up. Gay went up.
Pine Mountain went up.
And Pine Mountain, I think I'm
And
gonna
Gay,
actually scale
that's
Pine
right.
Mountain back and get back to that 64 and 4. I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were.
about
They were
the
pretty
same.
close
Greenville
back
was
to,
too.
and Greenville was too.
The county and the city of Manchester are the only ones that really
Taken.
took a hit, really at all, based on the numbers.
I think that the revenue numbers will prove that to be right. I think everybody else, even though the numbers are a little low, if you really want got a lot of time on your hands in here, for each city, I've calculated what your distributions were. And I used the 2022 numbers, and then I compared that to the 2021 current and the 2022 current. And virtually everybody, when you compare it to 2021, everybody in the county went up. You compare it to 22, most people went up. Manchester did not, county did not. But those numbers are in there, and there's a summary sheet in front, and then every city has a calculation in the back where we calculated those. Because what I was going to do, if we hadn't reached it, I was going to be prepared to present today that despite the fact that your percentages are rolling back, you're still going to be collecting more money than you did last year due to revenue growth. But we were able to come up with some new distribution numbers that makes that to a moot point, because everybody's going to get a little bit more than the formula we originally proposed, except for the county and
Why not just scale Pine Mountain back to the .352?
I'm gonna scale them back to get, I think I'll scale them back and let them have what they have to have under.
That's
the,
.14 that could be dispersed out.
That's right, yeah. I think I'll do that. I just run the numbers all the same, but yeah, I think I'll do that. So that they'll change just a wee bit, but not much. But the next step on this would be, if people are agreeable with it, we need to draft the documentation for it. And we already have that in draft form. We just need to put numbers in, put cities in, and we brought that to save the county money. We brought that from other areas that I worked on. And so we have those documentations. And so we'll be ready to put that together. We do need action, at least on behalf of the city of Manchester and the county by, you said June the 21st. Probably, I would say no later than mid-August, if we could. We'll try to get it on.
Did y'all do that at your first one?
When do y'all meet in August?
13th and 2nd.
The 8th is the second Monday. Close. And we would meet on the 10th.
If they could do theirs on the 8th, I'll get the documents to them. And then we could get back to you guys. If they do on the 8th, we can do it here on the 10th. I'll send it out to all the other cities too. We'd appreciate, you don't have to sign things, but we'd appreciate it if you would. I think that shows unity. And just as long as we get the first two signatures, we can cut the clock on that ticking timetable of 60 days. So any comments?
Y'all okay with this?
That. And the,
I wanna know what kind of deal this might make, but I think.
I think they said the cameras were rolling.
Okay.
It was one that bumped you up.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we had some serious discussions. I told him afterwards that.
Half was pretty good.
That's right, yeah. Yep, hour and a half. We did 2 or 3 hours of time before, but.
and I think just when we got ready to come to the table this time, we realized, I was the only one on the board when we did this 10 years ago, and I was new. I really remember very little about it other than sitting out here talking about it. But I think we need to put something into the records of how we came to this. Yes. So when the board, it's in 5 years or 10 years, you have something to go by or somewhere to start, some idea of so they will know how we came up with these numbers.
I did this for another jurisdiction, and they had no record how they did it. And unlike here, where we had at least a similar scenario, they didn't. Some people got twice as much as others. It was like, how did they come up with this? And you talking about deals, I think that's what happened there. Now, they're approving theirs with a format similar to this, where everybody is treated the same and everybody knows how we got there. So that's the best way to do it. And yes, ma'am, we'll put that into notes and all of the minutes and all of our calculations.
All right.
Allison can deal with it 10 years from now.
One thing I will say.
Speak up where they can hear you online.
One thing I will say, in the past, when we did loss, we had all the constitutional officers here, and I don't know that wasn't a bad idea.
They have no play in.
Yeah, no.
I know, but they have some say on the board. They may not count, but they at least get to say their opinions. You know,
I mean, whatever y'all want to do, but I mean, I
Excuse
think
me.
all of us gonna get up and say, we'd love to see the citizens continue to have a rollback of their taxes for local options.
All right, is there anything else?
Madam Chair, there's one thing I would like to touch on, and this is certainly nothing new with me. You yourself were talking about it earlier. You know, we look at the proceeds and we take what the state tells us has been collected for us. And of course, they do the divvying, they do all that stuff. And yet there's no way that we can ever true this record. We can't go in and say, this dollar came from Meriwether County or whatever, because most of it's being done, understand, by zip code. If that's the case, we have so many of our peripheral cities out there that share a zip code with the next largest city. As we talk, Hogansville and Grantville and Sonoa, Pine Mountain, you know, who is really collecting the money?
It's,
And like I
they
said,
really
there's
don't
nothing
track
new with
it
me,
that-
but
that close either, so.
looks like there ought to be some mechanism out there to test that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing you could do is just question them and say, hey, understand you'll have a peripherals, zip codes here that come into our county. Would you please make sure? I know one time years ago when we collected franchise fees for cell phones, back
Right.
years ago, you got a lot of cell phones that would be addressed somewhere else.
yeah.
And we actually did an audit in-house to come up with that. And we found a ton of cell phones that we were not getting our dollar per line.
No, $1, yeah.
Right. So, but this is much harder. You're dealing with the state.
What would you use other than zip code? Road name? I mean, how would you do it?
But it's not that I'll be able to do it by the county.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, something that ought to say, you know, if you live in Meriwether County, regardless if you have a zip code outside the county, it comes there, but I mean, I
That'd
don't
be good. That
know.
way all the dollars we know would come back here.
Yeah,
But even with T-Splost and Splost, they can't tell us exactly what we have coming in.
no.
One good thing is with motor vehicles, you do get that now. Because at one time, many moons ago, it was like where you bought the car.
Yeah.
Now it's back to where you live, where the house car's gonna be tied. So if there's no, and I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has, any specific questions, even if it's after the meeting or whatever. If there's not, and we want to move forward, what I would recommend is that we just go forth. We work on putting that resolutions together for the adoptions. We'll send it out to all the cities. We'll reflect these numbers in that documentation, and we'll also put some language in there, providing that that's okay with Department of Revenue, and our legal gives it a clear, where we will have a subsequent meeting 5 years out.
I think that was mentioned in our information we got from ACCG.
Mayor Nash said it's in the book.
Okay, I just say, because I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure.
So,
Yes,
Has there been, excuse me, has there been a correlation between what we're doing here today with the distribution of lost and the comprehensive plan as it pertains to who provides what services to whom? And I'll use an example, just water, for example. Luthersville provides water service to, actually 50% of our customers are outside the city limits of the city of Luthersville. And the county is one of those customers. But I just look at things such as that. I know the sheriff's coverage and things of that nature is pretty general across the county, but we, as a city, have a contractual arrangement with them as well. I'm just curious to know if in part of your planning that was taken into consideration.
well, I looked at all of the 8 provisions here, and I've kind of addressed those in the deal here as well. Existing service delivery responsibilities. You know, the thing with Waterline, and we appreciate it, and I think you'll see more working together from the county and the cities on water in the future. But, you know, the fact is, when you put the line out there, you get paid for it, you sell that water, you know, the city gets revenue back in. And this again this is property tax rollback. As I mentioned yesterday, we were talking about this. every penny that goes from the county back over to the cities is just a penny less that the citizens are gonna get anyway, because we're giving the reduction to all the county residents, all unincorporated, and everybody in your city gets a reduction. And then you turn around and you give them a reduction as well. So they're getting, really, if anybody is not getting I guess a really proportionate share of population, it would be the folks that live in the unincorporated areas. But we also understand that people come into the cities, they buy. We also understand you guys have water, you do those things, even though you do receive funds for it. But the reality is this is for property tax rollback, and you can't really take into account water line expansion and whatever, because your water service is going to become customer driven. It's going to become that's the way it's going to be. In the city, you may require everybody to be on water. In the county, the folks that are not on water don't have to pay, and the folks that are on water, they're the base of which you base your revenues and your dollars to be able to run and expand your water system. So it's a total different revenue line there in terms of water line service and water.
A significant part, I don't want a long debate here. Two things. One, a significant part, though, of providing water is also fire protection. And that, isn't revenue driven. We don't get revenue every time a fire is fought. And the second thing, and then I'll be quiet, is will you be willing to come to council meetings and make that presentation to the people to whom we are responsible?
I'd be more than happy to come wherever I think it's fair. As I say, if we went into the other issues with it, we'd go in requesting 75%, because that's the way the population distribution really works. But I'd be more than happy to come and explain to anybody.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd be happy to sit down and talk it through as well. But I know we're on a timetable and we just got to get this done. And we will be talking more about, I may not be here, but y'all will be talking more about service delivery. And I know there's been a lot of talk about water line and some other services. Sewer. I think there's opportunities to work together. I know you guys have worked, and I appreciate what y'all have done. But I think this is something we've got to deal with, and then I'll be happy to come. You'll let me know when the council meets.
Thank you.
One other thing I'd like to say. I mean, we keep hearing, when we expand our lines, which we have expanded our lines 3 times, and a lot, and we pay all of that.
You get all the money back for it too, right?
Well, it can only be used for water.
That's right, because it is as I said earlier.
What you're not saying, though.
No, I said that earlier. I said there's a totally different base between what you're dealing with lost and what you deal with water. Your water customers, especially when you go out into the county, you can't turn around and pay for that with county taxes or city taxes. You have to pay for it with the revenue for those users. So let's just say Allison and she has water, I don't, okay? It's not fair for me to have to pay taxes to support water for her when I don't have it. That is that's where you have to find another source. If she has water, she has to pay those fees. She pays the tap fee, she pays every fee that goes with it. Now, if I come along later and I get to be on that water, I start paying it too. That's why you see water authorities, because there's a separation of revenues there to be able to do it. So I agree with you 100%. And that's exactly how it needs to work. It has to be not on the taxes, has to be on the users that are getting the.
But sometimes our city has to supplement our water.
Yeah, you should be looking at a rate study.
Yeah.
You'll be getting more money now.
Yeah, be looking at it, yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments? Do we have to take any action to? It'd be
Not
in our
really. I mean,
meeting,
just
but-
authorize us to move forward with those documentation. We'll send it to everybody, and then we'll put it back on your first agenda in August for, hopefully for execution.
After the city does
After the
theirs.
city does theirs. Well, I just want to say, one comment I want to make, I appreciate all the work that you have done. I've said it many times. You just don't come to all of this, the knowledge about how this works and what to do without have done it so many years. I mean, you can't really pay for what you've done over the years, and then in turn, other counties have paid you this year to come to them and do this. So we've been able to do this in-house, or like we did with our comprehensive plan and things. And that saves all of us money, because we could have had to pay somebody to come in and get this together. And
I appreciate that.
and other counties are doing that, you know, so.
And the documentation that I have there, which will be the basis for our agreements, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We'll take what did there and bring it here to Meriwether County.
Yes. Mayor Moody, I know you're not feeling well, but do you have any comment?
I've been listening. I can barely talk, but I think it is a positive move forward. And I've been listening to all of the comments, and I will agree with moving forward as well.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Irizarry is joining us online. Do you have any comments? You got her unmuted.
Sorry, it took me a minute there to get it unmuted. No, I'm just very happy to see that everyone is working together to move forward with this.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, if there's nothing else, I guess, can we have a motion to authorize Mr. Gay and the others, the staff, to move forward with getting the other documents together and knowing that it will be placed on our agenda August the 10th, and the city of Manchester will have it on their agenda for August the 8th.
So moved.
We have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, motion carries.
Also, you'll also need notice to the Department of Revenue that we.
Okay. All right, is there any other business, anything else that we need to talk about? We have another meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock. So I was gonna ask the commissioner, instead of closing out this meeting, would y'all be interested in going ahead and doing an executive session for our meeting tonight, or would you rather wait till after we finish our meeting? Because we do have we have an hour and over an hour.
Okay,
I
with
move
going
we go
in.
for executive session.
Everybody?
Yeah.
So at this time, can we have a motion to go into executive session? I know we have personnel and legal. Is there anything else?
And Michelle, we'll call you.
We can call her. Anything else? We have a motion to go into executive session for those two reasons, for legal and personnel.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? We're going to executive session.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all again so much for coming. Can we have a motion to go back into regular session?
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? There was no action taken during executive session. Any other business to come before the board? All right, we have another meeting at 6 o'clock. Can we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, we adjourn till 6.